Dr. Minashin Vaila. FA Cup champions.
Hello and welcome to Around the Wickets on ThePapare.com. Well, it's been some time since I was on Around the Wickets. It's lovely to be back after a great tour of the West Indies. And now Sri Lanka are going to host some big teams this year, and starting off with South Africa. With Sri Lanka looking to play 2 test matches, 5 one-days and 1 T20. Well, we're going to talk about it. I got Farveez Maharoof as usual with me. Thank you for joining us, Maha. Well, as you might know, the first test starts on the 12th of July at Galle, and the second test on the 20th at the SSC, and then we move to Dambulla for the one-day series, which happens from the 29th of July onwards, and the tour goes right up to the 14th of August, where Sri Lanka and South Africa will play the only T20 game, which is a day-night game at the R. Premadasa International Stadium. Now, obviously, after the West Indies tour, there are a few things that most Sri Lankans would like to talk about and would like us to talk about, and maybe enlighten you and maybe just discuss amongst ourselves as to how the team would move forward. Now, the first question would be, who would captain Sri Lanka? Because Suranga Lakmal obviously did a brilliant job as captain, led from the front. That was because Dinesh Chandimal was not available. Now, I'm going to ask Farveez, who's with me, do you think Chandimal will be continuously absent for this series, but in view of what happened in the West Indies?
I think the minimal charges is, as ICC said before, it's 2 test matches, so I expect that to carry on. I think the hearing is on the 10th, and also the planning must be around without having Chandimal to plan with. So I think minimal charges would be applied in my view, but it's something interesting to see on the 10th what's going to happen.
Yeah, so in that case, it's very likely that Suranga Lakmal will lead Sri Lanka. Well, no problems there, because he was a surprise packet, no doubt, but I thought he did a good job. But then let's look at the composition of the team. Now, the options. Angelo Matthews had to leave immediately after that first test. We know the story due to the birth of his child. Dimuth Karunaratne broke his finger, didn't have enough cricket, so he moved away to Bangladesh to get some cricket. So those 2 options are available. Then there is a likelihood of Sandakan coming in. We don't know the fitness level of Kusal Perera, who was injured in that last game. A few batsmen not in the greatest of forms. So how do you see this 15-man squad being put together? What do you think the composition, and what are your thoughts on the probables?
I think probables in the 15-man squad, I would say in Sri Lanka normally you'll have 3 fast bowlers and 2 to play, one standby.
So who would be the 3?
I think the
Lakmal captains.
Lakmal captain and Lairu Kumar to play for me, and Kasun Rajitha being the standby. And 4 spinners obviously would be Rangan Herath, Akila Dhananjay, Dilruwan Perera, and Sandakan coming in with
so that
whatever
makes
reason.
7.
Yeah, whatever decision on when they say it's not out still officially, but I expect Sandakan to make it to the squad, which is 7, and 8 batters would be now, as you said, Angelo and Dimuth to come in.
Yeah,
and you got Kusal Mendes, Dickwell, Kusal Janit if he's fit, and Danish Gunatilaka, Dhananjay Silva, and Roshan Silva. So those will be my 8.
Well, that will be the probable 15, but we know Galle. Galle is a place where you will want to play more spinners.
Yeah.
And in the first place, is there a need to play the extra fast bowler in Galle?
I mean, learning from our past experience, I remember last year against India at SSC, we played 1 fast bowler and 1 Pradeep, and he broke down, and we playing with 1 fast bowler, and we had Dimuth Karunaratne as the seam-up bowler, whereas I don't think we will play with 1 fast bowler, being Suranga Lakmal being captain.
Yeah.
There's more responsibility in him, and there's more energy used.
So you still think 2 fast bowlers?
I think 2 fast bowlers is a must.
Considering that Galle turns
but still, if you remember last time when we lost to South Africa at Galle, the reverse swing played a big part, and I think Dale Steyn took 5 wickets in the second innings, and he demolished our middle order with no time. And I expect us to have 2 fast bowlers, and the other matter to sort out would be having 3 spinners or playing 2 spinners and 7 batters. So that is something I think the selectors and the management will look at the wicket, look at the conditions, and will make a decision.
Yeah, my hunch, of course, is that Sri Lanka will play 5 bowlers and 6 batsmen. That has been their policy and especially Galle, where the spinners will have to work a lot, they'll need the 3 spinners. So assuming they go with 6-5, 5 bowlers and 6 batsmen, who would be your 6 batsmen?
Mine would be, I'll have Kusal Mendis to open with Dimuth.
All right.
And I'll have Dhananjay Silva at 3.
So you will push Kusal Mendis back to open?
I would say, because I prefer Kusal Janith if he's fit, if he's playing, to bat him in the middle order. Because he can be so destructive when the ball is older.
Right.
And I mean, I know that we are playing home, but still I would like to have Kusal Janith, who's a match winner on his day, and he can easily score a quick 50. That's what you want from number 6 or number 7 if you play 7 batters.
Right.
And
but assuming we are playing 6 batsmen?
I still have Dhananjay at 3.
Yeah.
And Angelo at 4.
Right.
Thikwell at 5. And Kusal Janith at 6.
So you're dropping Roshan Silva?
I mean, on form, and if you look at it, the last couple of test matches, I mean, Thikwell has been scoring. And Kusal Janith, with his X factor, and he came into runs in the last innings. And, Roshan Silva unlucky there. But that's a dilemma which the management selectors have to take. I mean,
but wouldn't you?
Very hard to leave him.
Yeah.
But under the circumstances, this is my view, or personal view. I mean, that's what the case is about. But if KJP is not fit enough to make it, if it's not 100%, I'll straight away have Roshan in the middle order for sure.
But wouldn't you think? I'm asking you. Wouldn't you think, considering Roshan's ability, known to play spin better, that he should be a better option at 5 at Galle, because the pitch will anyway turn?
I mean, as I said before, I mean, on form, and looking at the last series against West Indies, I mean, leaving Thikwell, you can't do it.
No, Thikwell has to play.
Exactly.
It's a case of Kusal, Pereira or Roshan Silva.
With me, I mean, I would like to have Roshan for his style of batting. He doesn't give away the wicket easily, and he's just a batsman who just milks the runs, and that's exactly what you want. A Chandimal sort of a player if he's not in the 11.
Yeah.
But for me, I would take the other way around, because on form and having the X factor, more spin, and consider the fact, the South Africans has 1 leg spinner and 1 left hand which is turning in towards the left-hander. So that will also be a difference as well. I mean, taking all into consideration, that will be my 11.
Right, interesting thoughts about Sri Lanka. Now let's give you a bit of an insight about the South African squad. Now they got 4 fast bowlers, 3 spinners in a 15-man squad. Now Dale Steyn's coming back. Now he's after injury. I know he's a tried and tested player, but now the newer version of Dale Steyn is yet to be tried. So let's see how well he goes. But the rest, Philander, he is the type of nippy bowler that you would want to have around. Rabada, very exciting, 140 plus wickets in 31 games at an average of just over 21. And they got Ngidi, who's also reasonably good, not as quick as Rabada, but can be a handful. And in the case of spinners, well, most of them are unknown. Maharaj has played a few, but then Shamsi, I haven't heard too much, and then Sean Von Berg. But what are your thoughts? Have you heard about these guys, particularly the last 2 names in the spin?
Shamsi has played in lots of 2020 leagues around the world. I mean, he's prepared in the IPL. It's a Chinaman. And Von Berg, right arm leg spinner.
Yeah.
I mean, looks a very good pace attack, to be honest. I mean,
pace attack looks good.
4 fast bowlers. I mean, 4 all good with pace and, probably bounce as well. So I think it's been a dilemma who's going to play there. But spinners, I would expect Maharaj to lead the attack. And they might pull out a surprise in Sean Von Berg or Shamsi in the playing level. Yeah,
the batting, of course, without AB de Villiers is going to be a huge issue for South Africa. But they still got Elgar, they got Amla, they got du Plessis, the captain, who are the experienced lot. They got Markram, very, very talented opening batsman, and Quinton de Kock. Quinton de Kock got a lot of runs in Sri Lanka, but has been kind of in the shade in the last few games. But I like Markram. He looks a very well organised player.
Indeed, I mean, as I saw this 100 he scored against Australia at Johannesburg. I mean, he looks a very fine player, a tall, lanky guy. I think very strong side. Some inexperience in the middle order. I would say, like, the late middle order, lacks experience in subcontinent, but overall a much experienced team than us.
Well, just to recap on what happened in the last 2 or the last few series that South Africa has played. Sri Lanka lost the last test series against South Africa at home. Now, that was something new, because the Sri Lankans were generally difficult to shift when it came to home games. They lost 1-0. But then in South Africa has been a different story. Sri Lanka struggled right along. 2016-17 was a whitewash, 3-0. Then Sri Lanka's last test series win was that memorable series against Australia, when they whitewashed them 3-0. Also beat Zimbabwe and had a series draw against Bangladesh. and of course Sri Lanka lost to India. But now with the West Indies series drawn and beating Pakistan before that, how important is this going to be for Sri Lanka cricket, the South African series, considering that England's touring here, then Sri Lanka go away to New Zealand and Australia. So where is Sri Lankan cricket with this series? Or let's talk about the importance.
I think it's very important. I mean, as you said in the stats, we lost the last series against them at home, 1-0, and they whitewashed us in South Africa.
Yeah.
So I think with the momentum of winning the last test in Barbados, I think it's very important because Test cricket, I mean, without Captain Chandimal, this is where all the other players should stand up and take responsibility and try and win this series because it's very important. As you said, England is coming up. That's a huge series for us. We've got to go to New Zealand as well. So this will be the start of good 6 months to come for Sri Lanka cricket.
Yeah, we are hoping so. We're certainly hoping so that this will be the case come the next 6 months. But also, I must tell you that there's encouraging signs when it comes to cricket in general, because Sri Lanka is now, the Sri Lanka A team is currently in Bangladesh, and the first game was a draw, the first unofficial test, and the second test hasn't got off as yet. We've heard it's raining in Chittagong, so we're not sure whether we'll have any play at all. But just to kind of recap on that first test, it was a batsman's game, it was a draw. Sri Lanka made 449 for 8 and 262 for 2. Bangladesh 414. Now, some of the standout performers for Sri Lanka, Captain Dimuth Karunaratne sent specifically for some batting, 60 and 161. Lahiru Thirimana, who's been kind of in the shade, who's thought of very highly, but in the shade, 168 and 67 not out as the man of the match. Charit Asalanka and Sam Washan, two young cricketers, did exceptionally well with the bat, and Lakshan Sandakan and Prabhat Jayasuriya, who's been thought of as someone who could step up to that next league, getting wickets. So this is a good sign with these guys pushing some of the seniors. Herath likely on the way out, Thirimana making runs, Asalanka, Shamwasan. I mean, these are names that have been always spoken of.
Of course, I mean, Dimuth Karuna, as you correctly said, will just walk into the test squad when he's fit. And Thirimana is good to see him scoring runs. I mean, he's been in the shade for a while now. I think, the best thing he can do is just keep scoring runs. I mean, the day will come for him to get into the squad eventually and make it to the 11. I think Thirimana, this is a big statement. Scoring 168 and a 67 not out, being out of cricket for a while. I mean, that's a huge achievement by him. Talking about other few guys, I mean, as you correctly said, these guys have been consistent performers in the domestic level, getting that experience and exposure to the next level. And Prabhat Jayasuriya, as you correctly said, is the next big thing to Sri Lanka cricket, to one day when Rangana retires, to take over the mantle.
Well, interesting times, as I said. It's always good, healthy to have good competition, and that's exactly what is happening. So that's the story in terms of cricket and what Sri Lankans have been doing. But don't go away, just hang on. We got a question for you this week, and the question is, when did Sri Lanka last win a test against South Africa? Now, we've already spoken about it, so you should know, go and do your homework. The question is, when did Sri Lanka last win a test against South Africa? Now, we'll also give you the last week's question, or we'll give you the answer to the last week's question. Who was Suranga Lakmal's first test wicket? And the answer was Chris Gayle. Wicket taken by Suranga Lakmal on his debut in 2010. The match was played at the R. Premadasa International Stadium. Well, what a start for the current Sri Lankan standing captain, and what a wicket to have. Of course, Chris Gayle doesn't play Test cricket anymore, but certainly one of the most destructive batsmen the world has at the moment. So that's the story on Around the Wickets. We hope you enjoyed it. Look forward to joining you again very soon. Please make sure that you watch South Africa and Sri Lanka and keep supporting the Sri Lankans. Until we see you again, it's goodbye.